Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of My Big Fat Junk Drawer, the show about the junk we keep and the stories we tell about it. This is another solo episode. Time to check in after we have two guests. I generally pop back on to say hi, recap the week, do a little housekeeping, and then send you on your way to next week, which will be right back at it with guests. So, on that note, welcome. This week, how many celestial events are we going to have this year? My gosh. We had the solar eclipse earlier. Now we have the aurora borealis. One of my bucket list items to see. It was kind of weird though, because I live in the city, suburb. So we weren't sure what we were really going to see. So my daughter and I went outside about 10 or 11 o'clock, looked up at the sky, didn't see anything. I was like, well, I guess we're just not going to see it because of the light pollution. So we're going to give up and go back inside. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. They said on the Today Show that if you use your camera lens or camera phone or whatever, you can see it. So on hunch, I put the camera up to the sky. Lo and behold, there it is, like a magic reveal. So we got a lot of pictures, and I saw a lot of pretty pictures from my friends on Facebook. So I guess from years to come, every anniversary on Facebook, we're going to see the aurora borealis. But yeah, how exciting. I still want to go and travel and see it in all its glory, because I'd love to see it, with the naked eye and everything. But yeah, that was an interesting thing. So I hope everyone got to see it or get the chance to see it that was in its path. I think most of the world did, honestly. So that was exciting. We're counting down to summer break in this house. I don't know about all of you, but I'm ready for it. I know a lot of parents aren't excited about summer, probably because it has a lot to do with childcare and things like that. But my daughter's 15. She can self-manage these days. But I don't know why I get excited for summer break, but I do. It's not like I get it off. I have to work the whole time. So I'm not really sure why it's exciting, other than I think what it boils down to is by the time school is out, I am emotionally labored out. Like, I am done being the bad cop. I am done with calendars. I am so done with managing all of that stuff. I just need a break from it. I need a break from a very regimented schedule, which is what we have in this house. I just read an article yesterday, or recently, about emotional labor, and it really hit home to me. It's when you have to take time, and it usually falls to the woman, but it's all those things that go unseen, right? It's the project management of it all, really. It's the appointments. It's the scheduling. It's, even for Mother's Day, I feel like we have to schedule things for ourselves. It's crazy. But yeah, by the time school is done, I've had it with that part of my emotional labor, and I need a break. So that, to me, is my summer break. So I welcome it. Although this summer is going to be kind of fun because my daughter has decided to take phys ed this summer as an option to free up her schedule during a school so she could take something else that she would rather take. Now, when she did this, I thought, oh, okay, she'll get up, I'll take her somewhere and she'll have phys ed. No. Phys ed is an online course. What? When did that happen? I was sure she was going to get out of bed and go run around a track somewhere. No, it's online, and she has to keep a physical activity log. So what does this mean for me? Maybe my emotional labor isn't done because now I have to keep a physical activity log all summer, but hopefully it gets me up and moving around because one of my problems working at home, which is great. I do it most of the time. But a lot of the time working at home, comes with an added problem of having all day access to a refrigerator and your own kitchen and your own space. So you tend, well, at least I do. I don't know if you have a problem with this, but I am a grazer. And I mindlessly snack. Like if you put it in front of me, I would just mindlessly eat it. So a problem I have found, and I'm going to blame my coworker for this one, is GoPuff. And I don't know if you have access to GoPuff where you are, but I do. And you got to watch that shit because GoPuff will deliver friggin' snacks at all hours. And if you don't watch it, you're going to end up with a sack of Sour Belts, gummy bears, a caramello, and all kinds of crap that you don't need. And I have some, and I need to not have some. So thank goodness for online gym because, woo! Yeah, GoPuff is great, but you got to watch that. But it's tasty. Those Sour Belts, woo! Good stuff. So what kind of shows am I watching this week to go along with the GoPuff? It is reunion season on Vanderpump Rules, my favorite guilty pleasure show. And they actually called it a guilty pleasure show on the reunion, so I don't feel bad saying that. I think the show is done. I believe it has run its course. That is my guess. These people don't like each other. That's obvious. Yeah, they were doing look backs at previous seasons. Yeah, I think it's done. And I'm sad because it was on almost all of my 30s. And I grew up watching these people. These people grew up in front of me. Like they started in their 20s. Now they're married. Some of them have kids. So that's kind of, it's been cool to see, but it's time to move on. But that segues into the other guilty pleasure show I watch, The Valley, which is kind of a spin-off of Vanderpump. It's got Jax and Brittany on it. I think Sheena and Lala are going to jump ship on the Vanderpump train and go to The Valley. That's their plan. Because they've already moved to that area. That's how that's going to go, which I will definitely watch if they go. But yeah, I think those shows are, well, Vanderpump's coming to an end. So what else? Oh, I'm doing a full rewatch of Orange is the New Black. I loved that show. I only watched it all the way through once. I only did the whole thing one time because it's kind of intense in spots. But the way that they slowly revealed the backstories of all those characters was so impressive to me. And by the end of that show, you love all of those people. Like they're your own. Like, it is crazy how they got that emotion out there that you just feel like you love all these people. At least I did. So I'm enjoying rewatching that. Another one I'm watching, School Spirits, which was recommended by Alicia, my previous guest, on Red Pens and Word Nerds, if you want to hear our conversation. She and I have a similar sensibility when it comes to sci-fi kind of shows or off-the-wall things. We like the same things. So when she recommended it, I watched it. And actually, my daughter and I watched it together. And that's weird. That usually doesn't happen because about 5 minutes in of a show, my daughter will be like, oh, this is dumb. It's for old people, whatever they say. And she won't watch it. But she was in it till the very end. And it's one of those shows where you think you know who the bad guy is. You've like, I've got this figured out. I know exactly what's going on. I know exactly what's going to happen. But like 5 episodes from the end, they start pulling the rug out from under you. And you're like, oh, well, it's not this person. Oh, so it's got to be this person. No, it's not that person either. And by the end, you're like, who the hell is it? Who the hell is the bad guy in this show? And about the last 2 minutes, it's a chaotic uproar and the tables turn, and then it's a cliffhanger. And you're like, shit, what just happened? And there's no resolution because you got to wait until season 2. And apparently, which I did not know, and I guess my husband had already watched this show is like over a year old. It might be going on 2 years at this point. Season 2 isn't even slated to come out until late this year, early next year. So well, I guess I'll have to forget about that for a while. That bothers me when that happens. I'm like, Damn it. Now I can't find out. But I do recommend it. School Spirits. Another show this week, Bridgerton, which I adore. I love a good period piece. Let me tell you, I enjoy it. I have not read the books. Kind of want to. Maybe that's a good summer read idea. But I'm excited for that show. I do think the Queen Charlotte, I think, was my favorite little Bridgerton thing that they did. I love that a lot. So that's another recommendation. Oh, and as always, this is the hill I'll die on, Severance. If you have not seen it, you have to see it. And it's one where you're going to have to wait a little longer for season 2, but at least it's in the can and it's in post-production and it's coming. So Severance on Apple. Just get it for like a week and watch it. I swear you'll be hooked to it. And if you watch it, I'll send you my sour belts from GoPuff. So today, other than my recap, I dragged my trunk of fun again into the living room. I have a huge bruise on my shin. So that was nice. I really think I'm going to get a hernia lugging this thing around. I'm going to have to do these in the garage the next time. I can't lift it. So I dragged it over. I opened it. My daughter has her snarky remarks. When I opened it, it was like opening a mummy's tomb. And I'm sure there was some sort of mold spore or something. She's like, oh my God, it smells like an attic. Well, it kind of does. And it kind of is its own little attic of stuff. But the last time I opened it up, I didn't even get halfway down inside of it. But this time I dug a little deeper. So today I have in my trunk of fun a bunch of Christmas cards, birthday cards, which I didn't even remember keeping. And I found it fascinating that cards were a big deal. I can pinpoint around this batch of cards around my college days. Because high school, I never would have written a card. I just wouldn't have. But college had that added thing of going home for the summer and keeping in touch and all of that stuff. This was before the internet, folks. This was before, texting, things like that. So I have cards and full-blown letters from friends, and it's wonderful. But also intermingled with those friend cards and things that were such a delight were cards from family members that are no longer with us, which was cool because I think when someone passes away, there are two things that you notice that you miss. And one of them, handwriting for me, seeing someone's handwriting and recognizing it like, oh yeah, I remember that handwriting, and their voice. I think when you get to a point where someone has passed away and you can't hear their voice in your head anymore, and you're like, oh, is that really the way they sounded? Because we have a thing with hearing our voice, and the sounds of voices can kind of play tricks on you. It's memory, right? And memory is kind of shaky. But like today we have things, you can record voices, you can record video. So in that way, it's kind of nice that you can capture moments of family members that, aren't around anymore. And luckily, I do have a few of those kinds of things with my dad's voice. So I can still hear his voice, which is nice. Some people don't have that or weren't able to have that. So I feel for that because it's something that you just miss. It's like the last living part, I think, that you can hold on to is a voice. So it was nice to go through the trunk and kind of see handwriting and come across cards from my aunt who passed away, my grandma who had passed away. And then I came across something my dad had sent me at college. Now, my dad was a man of few words. His love language were acts of love, like acts of kindness, things like that. He would do things out of love and things like that. If we were having trouble of some sort, like a breakup or, something happened. He knew we were upset. He wasn't the kind of person that would want to talk about it because that just wasn't his deal. But what would happen would be you would go to your mailbox at school and you would open it up and there'd be a letter addressed to you. And the return address would be just my dad. My mom would never know about this. Because when I'd tell her, she'd be like, I didn't do that. He did it. And there would be usually a scrap piece of paper with just a scribbling that said, I saw this in the Columbus Dispatch and thought you might want to read it. And it would be an article about, in this case, from the trunk, a long-distance relationship or how long-distance relationships in college don't work out. And I remember exactly what this is from. But yeah, and there would be no note other than the scrap of paper telling me where this article came from, but that was it. And that was the way that's how he would let you know that he was sorry that you were feeling this way and he hoped you were better. And that's just how my dad was. So it's little things like that I find in my trunk of fun that I find it's just nice to have. So what else? Oh, it's graduation season. So I was looking through the trunk and forcing my daughter to look through the trunk as well. So I would go through, show her my yearbook and try to have her pick me out of group shots, which she did every time. And then insult me like, oh, look, you have the same hair there as you do now. I'm like, thanks. And then I happened upon the oldest of terrible traditions of high school. I don't know if you did this in your high school, but I know we did it in our high school. And I know our class did it. And I know my sister's class had them. They were kind of under the table. They were senior wills. And it was nasty. These were done under the table. They would make hundreds of copies and it was like a burn book, basically. That's what it was funny. Emma was like, is this a burn book? I'm like, well, yeah, kind of. They were nasty. It's the oldest version of bullying. Thank goodness. I don't think I read through a little bit of it and laughed at a couple of them, but I'm like, Jesus, were we really this horrible? Yes. Kids in general can be that way. So I hope that they don't do that anymore. I doubt they do. I really, really doubt that gets around anymore. But one of the things that I do remember that I wish I had gotten, and I don't know if they do this either, we had a senior film that we made, and I don't know where we could get copies of it. I remember we could buy a copy of it on VHS back then, but I never did, because I was just ready to get the hell out of there. But I would love to see it. And that's one thing that I've never been able to see that I would love to see again. The senior film. And another thing I would love to see that I never did, that it was just the time period, because not a lot of people had access to video cameras and recording equipment on their own. It was just too expensive back then. Our choir, and I wanted to show this to my daughter, honestly, because she's in a school choir and she's in another choir in Columbus. And I wanted to show her because our high school choir, honest to God, had about 200 people in it. Our choir was so popular and everyone wanted to do it. And we had every holiday season, we had a big carol. It was called the Carol Sing. And I just want to be able to see one of those carol sings. And if anyone has it out there from 89 to 92, I would love to see one. And I would love to show my daughter one, because we would sing. And I just remember songs where we'd hit the last note, because we did a lot of stuff a cappella, which was beautiful. And we just hit the last note and it would just reverberate on the rafters for good 15, 20 seconds. So those are things that I really missed out on, that today kids don't have that, because they have access, they have their phones and they have all this stuff to capture moments. But there are some moments that don't fit in a trunk of fun, because I want it on a video. But yeah, it just makes me think of those things that I wish I had more videos of things, like videos of my dad or videos of my grandma or aunts, uncles, and yeah, just moments of choir, band, stuff like that, just so I could see it again. But we soldier on, right? And we keep going. So this week, I had the exciting opportunity of opening my first My Big Fat Junk Drawer email. It was so exciting. I'm going to give a shout out to my friend Lauren. Thank you, Lauren, for writing into the show. She wrote in because she has some pictures she wanted to get framed, and she wondered where she could find Jeremy, who was a guest on the Framing, Lockpicking, and the Great Outdoors episode. Jeremy is a professional picture framer. Not only pictures, but he does a lot of great projects. He works for a big box store, so I didn't really get into where he works. But if you want to find him to get your stuff framed, by all means, just shoot me an email. I did respond back to Lauren and told her where she could go to find him. But just send me an email, mybigfatjunkdrawer@gmail.com, and I'll let you know where he is and where you can find him, because he will truly help you with any project you have. He's so nice and very skilled at what he does. So I'm not joking. The guy is very, very good at what he does. So yeah, just send me an email and I'll let you know where you can find him. And you can have all of your nice things framed, and he will be happy, happy, happy to assist you. More just short, just little house cleaning details, house cleaning. Yeah, I need to do that. Little housekeeping around here. So I'm trying to figure out a way to combine all of like the social media, the podcast, and my blog/website, which I just call it a website now because apparently blogs are dead, as my friend Alicia said. I have an Instagram account for this podcast. It's My Big Fat Junk Drawer Podcast. It's just in the beginning stages. I'm starting to post pictures of the objects that all the guests bring with them or have. And yeah, just putting more visuals on there, because this podcast is not video for a million different reasons. I'm not going to get into that. But just as a more visual way to display some of that stuff, I just put on the hair cutting scissors my mom talked about in her latest episode. I'm going to put on a couple pictures that Jeremy has put together for us, just so you can see their work. And, you know, if you find a guest that you want to know more about, or if they can help you with something, I can put you in touch with them that way. So please seek out the Instagram at My Big Fat Junk Drawer Podcast. It's all smushed together, and follow that and share it. Please share it with other people. That's important. And then the website, mybigfatjunkdrawer.com, is more of a writing space where I do post the podcast episodes there, but it's also a space where I write recaps, a little more information about guests. I also put pictures up there too. Just a little more information about that kind of stuff lives there. And you can go to mybigfatjunkdrawer.com and find that there. And then you can, find us on Spotify, Apple, whatever, to listen to the show. But the big one right now that I want to boost up is YouTube. Oh God, YouTube. It's its own beast. So if you could find it in your heart to just go to YouTube, subscribe, share it, just share the shit out of it. It gets into the orbits of people who don't know me at all. And that's really what I want to focus on, is trying to push out to people who don't know me, because I do believe that telling stories is one of the things that ties us all together. And that's really what this podcast is a conversation and stories about the junk you keep and the stories you tell about it. Because we all have that thing, or we all have things that we've been holding on to, and it's for a reason. There's a story there, and I want to hear about it. And I think other people want to hear about it too. So yeah, just find us on YouTube, share, subscribe, all those things, and we'll keep going. So with that, I will say next week, we're back to having guests. We're back at it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate all of the feedback. I appreciate all the likes and things. It does make a girl feel great. So have a great day. Order something from GoPuff. I recommend the sour belts. They're outstanding. See you later. Bye.